Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dhamma friends, when it comes to meditation, the practicing this all finally going to end up making us free from this everything. So, the word freedom is very expensive. When we look at the entire this human history, that there are a lot of people, our ancestors, sacrifice their whole life to find the freedom. So then yourself also, you have a choice. Just live a ordinary life or find the freedom that within yourself. When it comes to freedom, there are three kinds of freedoms. One is physical freedom. Physically, we are bound to a lot of things. When we look at the world, and one of the biggest thing in the history that we can see, slavery. And the most of people used to become slaves, and still today in this 20th century, and we experiencing that same thing all over the world, slavery happening underneath this beautiful society. And in the surface level, we don't see this. And so ourselves, we have personal responsibility to find our own inner freedom, our physical freedom, and our psychological freedom. So it is yourself when you sit, when you close your eyes. And sometimes we building our own prison. We don't see. Our own ideas become iron bars to us. And our own behavior, our own patterns create the walls around us we don't see. But what the Buddha mentioned. So when you have this inner wisdom, you have ability to break down this all and come out of and become the free from these all prisons and find the liberation. That is the ultimate freedom, and that is the final, the wish that all we have. That is why we do this everything. That's why you give education to children. That's why you educate yourself. That's why you earn some money and save something. There is something that you look for as freedom. So when it comes to this physical freedom, and still we are not recognized that we are prisoners in different ways. In cultures, sometimes people, this physical freedom, they not allow most of things in culture, and the physical people bound to different things, and we are kind of like prisoners. Another thing is that in day-to-day life, if you look very carefully, and one thing is slavery, and it is happening everywhere. People sell to human, and it's a kind of like the very ugly, but still it's happening. And you know this human trafficking all over the world, still it is happening. It is a kind of like a slavery. Another thing is there is a social hierarchy in according to the caste system, and people divided to different ways. So that way also we are became kind of like a prisoners, especially during Buddha's time. That was the most difficult time period for the human in the Eastern countries, because that time all this Brahman used to hold the society and using this caste system. No one allowed to study things, No one allowed to find the freedom themselves, physical or mental freedom, spiritual freedom. And still it is happening everywhere. Still we see the same thing, even that with this all the religions. Another thing is that gender, that we are, by gender we divided. When we look very carefully, that we not allow that mostly women to become free. If you look all over the world, everywhere in different ways, that equal gender rights, it is not about equal gender right. This about the humanity. When we look very deeply, even in religions, even sometimes that it they not allow women to become free. Before 2014, the China, the 2014 was the China that bring the bill to Parliament and to Supreme Court regarding domestic law. Before that, the husband has right to kill his own wife. It's 2014. Even they bring the law, and so far in China, it happening, and no one talk about it. And even this, all the most of the Middle East countries and the most of the 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 Eastern countries, if the woman is become more beautiful, like Afghanistan, that kind of countries, if the woman is more beautiful, the husband has right to put the acid on face and make her ugly. And they used to violate that all the the human right. See, it is that the same world that we living. When we say, may all living beings be well and happy, you should know that. That's why I just want to remind it. You have to have a wish wherever they are. May they find the wisdom. May they have the freedom themselves. It is just not only just idea. When you think about all living beings, you should know what you mean by that all living beings and what are the difficulties they have. That is where you transform deeply inside you. Even in the history, it's a traditionally and as a culture, people bound, and that in the history that the Krishna that had 16,108 women for his own women. And that time, see, this the god that they worship, and it doesn't matter that someone married or not. If he wanna get that woman, he take. That's the power he had. So what a ugly god he is, This way it is in it's a history. 16,180 women, you know what a, what a foolish idea that he had. Even that's why the mentality to show that to hierarchy, that's where we coming from. We still believe that history and we worship that. And even in the Buddhism, there are places, there are temples. And the mostly in the history, women sacrifice a lot to protect this Buddhism. And when from the Mahaprajapati Gautami to entire the history, always there are icons that the women have put certain milestone, and the memories, the very strong turning points they build through the sacrificing themselves. Sanghamitta, who brought the Bodhi tree to Sri Lanka, and Tooth Relic, who brought Hemamala, who brought to Sri Lanka from India with the great difficulty, through escaping from many dangers and sacrificing their own life. devoting their own life. But still today, they cannot go to that place. Any woman cannot go there unless if you become a politician's wife. See, this is the hierarchy. So when you think, may all living beings be well and happy, you have to have idea, may they find the wisdom, may they, all these religious leaders, all the leaders or the followers, may everyone find that wisdom. May they come out of that prison. Because it's a kind of like a prison. They're stuck inside it. We also the same, knowingly or unknowingly, sometimes we have that behavior. Why? Because we have that culture inside us. So as human beings, if we cannot treat each other in ordinary life, so how we can find the inner freedom ourselves? That's why at least you cannot do anything maybe because it has certain power with the hierarchy, the society, politicians, economy, so like this thing. But still, you have to have at least in your heart, you have to have a wish. May they come out of that freedom. Why you wanna control somebody? What is the purpose of it? It is the purpose of egocentric idea. When you become more egocentric, your compassion disappears. The compassion and egocentric mind cannot be together. So as a result of becoming egocentric, you build your own prison. And that is where you're trying to build other prison for others. That's what happening. So then when you practice meditation deeply, you have to touch this truth, because you have more responsibility to come out of this prison. Otherwise, what is happening? You also become a part of that prison, knowingly or unknowingly. Why? Because we are the world, we are the society. Without transforming inside us, and it's not going to happen in the outside. Another thing is, psychologically, we are more prisoners. So when it comes to that psychological prison, from the we bought the ideas from the families, from the books, from the history, so like that. And people used to believe many things. And if somebody go against that believing, and they're going to have a very big trouble. And one time that there was believing the world was flat. And when they found out the world was round, and the most of people went against. So, and the ideas that we follow, and mostly we bias to these ideas. So then yourself, you have to look. When you look for inner freedom, if you look for your salvation, are you able to drop the ideas yourself, at least when you sit for meditation, and become free from everything? And without history, can you observe just the inhalation, exhalation, or the sensation without even putting any name, even just categorizing it? Can you observe without categorizing knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain? Can you just observe it? Can you take it as pain? Because it is a mental practice, it is become profitable skill. That is where when you go to society, and with your bodily, verbally, or mentally action, without categorizing others, you can accept as human. So that is a skill. You need that if you practice loving kindness and compassion. And remember, without that, your wisdom not going to work. So understanding this all deeply is the part of the wisdom. And other biggest prison is spiritual prison. We are bound to unknown power, unseen power, and believing. We are afraid to let go of that. Remember, there is nothing inside. Even there is no soul. That's what the Buddha said. Don't afraid for that. There's nothing can do. Even if the God gave this all, why still that he need to maintain you? Because you have that everything, then just go yourself. And it says sometimes in one place, the God made you, then After that, he give up you. So now you have to go your own way. So take responsibility yourself. It doesn't matter there is God or not. Now you have this eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and you have responsibilities. Just do your best with that. And that way you will see. So otherwise, just if you always bound to something, or the light, or the powers, or the believing system, or anything, and there is no place to escape this. It become more stronger, more stronger. So remember this, everything thoughts. There is nothing that you can experience without thoughts. When the day come to experience something without thoughts, that's the day you attain enlightenment. So otherwise, if something bound to thoughts mean that's bound to this samsara. So becoming free from spiritual this boundaries mean you believe something to gain to your freedom, not to become a prisoner, not to give up your inner freedom. So always remember that. For that, there are 3 steps that you have to practice. When you master these 3 steps, there is no way that somebody can hold you as a prisoner. And why we become a prisoner to somebody? Mostly in the samsaric journey, we didn't practice one of this out of these 3. So what are those 3? Generosity, dana, sila, moral practice, sila, and bhavana, meditation. So you have to practice these 3 things together, not one by one, one by one. Learn to master these 3 things together. When you do something, when you giving dana, you do it with the discipline, physical, mental discipline, and at the same time, consciously you perform it. And then another way that you practice certain kind of rituals or the discipline, and you do it with the intention to give something towards others, and at the same time consciously. And when you become conscious, in that consciousness you have to have certain kind of idea that you doing something for others, doing something good for others, and at the same time you do it with the discipline. So that way, see this, when you practice one, other 3 things, 2 things help. So like that, when you perform generosity and meditation and moral discipline, the practice. So when you practice these 3 things, you work together, not one by one. So that way it become powerful. And when it become powerful, anywhere in the samsaric journey, there is no way anybody can take you to a prison. You're going to come out of it. They can put you, physically they can put you to prison. And ideologically they can put you to certain dogmas, but still it itself going to take you to a place that you find the freedom. If you don't practice this generosity, moral discipline, or practice of the sila and the meditation or consciousness, developing consciousness, awareness, and somewhere, knowingly or unknowingly, you become a prisoner to some things or somebody or some ideas. So the key to come out of the prison is try to develop the moral practice and become generous and start to be conscious. And that is the key in this entire samsaric journey. Anywhere you can come out of the prison. It doesn't matter how strong it is. For that, and sometimes you don't believe how it can happen like that way. So as a monk, I don't want to be there in Buddhism. We have many stories regarding this. But today I don't want to bring that stories. So if anybody have that the idea how it possible, I'm going to bring you a story from the Bible, because then you cannot challenge to that idea. If you are already know the history of the in regarding the Buddhist literature, and you know many stories there. But if there is somebody don't know it, and sometimes they can ask how it is possible like that, how you can come out of the prison like that. And you know that 1,000 years back, and 1600 to 1700 BC, in Israel, Palestine, in that area, there was a person called Joseph. So the Joseph was the 11th son in the 12 son family. They had 12 brothers. Joseph was the 11th one. So what happened? His father had the red, purple, very beautiful coat, overcoat. So the father gave this to this Joseph. So what happened that other all 11 brothers got jealous. And then this Joseph was the innocent. But the Joseph used to practice integrity. No, in the moral practice, one of the most important thing, integrity. No. So the Joseph was, even though he was a very innocent young boy, and he didn't go against the brothers. So what the brothers did, there was a merchant came and they sell the Joseph to this merchant for slavery. Look, this is the history that you see it. It's happened. It is not even the Bible. It's happening everywhere in the world. So then this merchant took him to another place. And then this merchant gave it to another rich man. And the Joseph would start to clean the house. It was a very wealthy place. And so this millionaire had a beautiful wife. And what happened? This beautiful wife trying to get into this Joseph. And the Joseph rejected the idea and told, I cannot do this. I work for my master. I cannot go against this. And the woman was so mad because of this rejection. And what she did? She put him to a jail. And in Egypt, and he was in the jail and had used to do heavy work. So that time the jail means the hell. And then during that time, what he did, he used to tell, he used to translate for dreams. So whoever see dreams in the prison, he used to translate it and he start to give the meanings for that dream. And then all the jailers used to come, and whatever that had the dream last night, and then they come to Joseph. So then the Joseph was very famous in the prison. Then what happened? One day, during that time, the Pharaoh used to control the Egypt, very powerful country. Look how far this Joseph came, because he well disciplined man. And then the Pharaoh one day that they had a dream, and then no one to explain what it is, and they then brought the Joseph, and the Joseph explained what is the dream. And from that day, he became the advisor for the Pharaoh and for entire Egypt. And then he had the opportunity to bring his all brothers to Egypt. without any hesitation, anger. He brought them also. See, when you have discipline, there's no way somebody can put you in a prison. And when you have the generous heart, there is no way somebody can put you in the prison. You can do it physically, but it's not going to work. End of the journey, somehow the person going to get into the ultimate freedom. And when you have the wisdom, see that Joseph, through others' dreams, became the greatest man in the Egypt. That's why I like it, that the character through others' dream, even that people couldn't understand that dream. So then we are 2020 today. You have more power than that. The Joseph used to behave like that in a prison, in the hell, in the Egypt. But you are with this all the facilities in the world. You think you are free, but still you couldn't understand the prison that inside you. And the misery is this. When we why I have to bring this topic, because when we have the prison, when we build our prison, what happening? We build the prison for others. That is the very sad things happening all over the world. Look at the world today. What is happening? No, we have to think again and again. See, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, people thought, oh, everybody going to be okay now. After this virus case, everybody understood something. They recognize the reality of life. Now they're going to become more spiritual. And everybody understood what is the impermanent. Every day people used to count how many people died in the world. Thousand people used to die every day. We hear the death, and everybody afraid for death. And we thought, oh, this is a very good moment to transform. 2020 going to become the spiritually transform this world, and next going to become very beautiful place. But look, after these 3 months, how we come out. So we come out with the anger, more hatred, more jealousy. And see, look at the world everywhere today. What is happening? Where that understanding? What happened to that? If the 3 months before, the understanding that we had. Why this happened like that way? Because we are so tight inside personally. We are prisoners. We have the greed, the hatred, and the jealousy inside us, anger, hatred inside us. So that is the transformation, this come out of the soul. That is blow out everywhere. It is not a one incident. Look at everywhere in all over the world. How this suddenly, and it is more bigger than the second wave of this virus. And look, it became a mess in the world. So that's why we have responsibility, because we don't see, we are we are in a prison, then we think it is so strong. So that's why through this meditation, yourself, determine yourself, never build a prison yourself. That is where you can make another person free. So have yourself, find the freedom. This is the moment that you can recognize that, and never develop that prison inside you, and perform yourself as much as you can. Be generous, and at the same time develop self-discipline yourself, and also find the wisdom and awareness, and develop the clarity inside you. With that foundation, you become free yourself. That freedom is the greatest gift that you can achieve. And at the same time, for your husband, wife, for your partners, brothers, sisters, friends and family members, especially for your children, for your next generation. That is the greatest gift that you can give, as a wisdom, as a knowledge. And that is where you can transform this everything to a better place. Remember, you have that responsibility, and think about it again and again. When you say, may all living beings be well and happy, think again what you mean by that. So, with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to you, may no difficulties come to you, may no problems come to you. May you also have the patient courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. And finally, may you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi dīghāyuko bhava. Ettavata ca ammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe saddhanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vannotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. So bless you.